I decided to move my pendulette clocks here in my kitchen, and I've got to work on this one, but I've got lots of wall space here for little clocks like that. And as you can see, there's 1, 2, and I got the third clock like that in my test stand. Well, you can see there's no pendulum bob on this clock. However, it's keeping time with the other clocks that are running. And here's the third clock, just like it. It's a lot brighter in my room. I've got a 20,000 illumination light bulb now. With these pendulette clocks, you know, most clocks, pendulum, barely swing back and forth, as you can see on the few clocks that I do have running. And so you would think that you moving that back and forth that it would stay running. However, not with these pendulette clocks. Give it a good swing, because it takes a lot of room for the escapement wheel to move. And to adjust the clock, let's say you got it hanging up nice and level and perfect the way you want, and you give it a good swing and it doesn't move. Well, to adjust the clocks, there's a clutch type system in this thing. You can adjust it, but if you tilt the clock one way or the other and it stays running and you can live with it, that's what I would do. Now you can purchase the novelty pendulette clock keys. From my experience, they're cheap, and sometimes you gotta squeeze the metal together, or you can purchase a set of these things. This is the even number, and this is the odd number. And if you have as many clocks in your house as I do, these keys come in handy. It takes a number 2, and you can wind it up. The number 3, you can wind it up. So, depending on the clock and how worn out this arbor is, you know, some were made by Keebler, some were made in Canada. Purchase a set of these keys. My daughter got me these for Christmas a couple years ago at the advice from my friend Ron. She asked him, hey, what would it be good for Dad a Christmas present? He told her to get a set of these keys. So that's where I got them. I used to, when I go wind up my clocks, grab a handful of keys when I was winding up my clocks. But now all I have to do is just grab one key. This clock is a pain in the butt because of these stupid chains on it. You go wind it up, I mean, if you go to move the pendulum and you accidentally hit one of these chains, well, the chains are gonna stop the clock. These clocks have got these little arbors on them. This little wheel right here And that's what makes the bird go up and down, is that little wheel. And I've got other videos on this, but if your bird isn't going up and down, you might have to adjust this arm right here. It goes, this little arm right here. That little arm is what catches this wheel. And that wheel has got, let me just show it to you. You see it's got raised parts on it. And that's what actually makes the bird go up and down, is that wheel. I need to take this clock, which is still running, and it's been running for about 10 minutes, off the stand, so I can take and put this clock on it so I can adjust it. I chose to put it on this stand, that way I can move it to see whether or not it's straight up and down. And then I can just turn it around to adjust it. And you want to make sure that the pendulum is not hitting the wood. And so far it's still running, so I don't need to adjust it. I just had to have it straight up and down. I'll leave it like that for a little bit. I took it out of adjustment just to show you how to adjust it. Taking a pair of pliers, grabbing a hold of this top arbor, and then move the pendulum one way or the other. Like I said, it moves. As you can see, it's out of adjustment right there. It's because I got it too far to the right. And so moving taking the pliers, holding on to the arbor, and then move the pendulum one way or the other. And this is what I'm grabbing with the pliers, this wide piece right here. The pendulum is friction bit onto this front section here. So you grab that with a pair of pliers and then move the pendulum, the crutch assembly, one way or the other. And don't force it. If you're forcing it, you could break it. It sounds like a pretty good even tick. And if it's out, you hear that? It changed. The beat amplifier is, let me put it in a different spot. Like I said, if your clock's not staying running, you could tilt it one way or the other to get that even tick-tock. You hear it's off. Sorry, I'm getting feedback on this beat amplifier. Like I said, you could tilt it one way or the other, or you can adjust the crutch assembly like I showed you. You put it back together, you can see its bird moves, alright, and they don't move that much. And you could hear the clock stopping, and that is because the pendulum crutch assembly is touching the case. So you might have to adjust that. And so I'm going to adjust it off camera. I want you to pay attention to the bird. See how much it tilts. You have to kind of tilt the clock movement to get the bird in the hole while you put the movement together. And I don't know if it can be done, but where you hang the clock up is where the tail of the bird is. So what I'm going to do is put a chopstick in that hole, and I'm going to see if I could adjust the bird more. You see how it's tilting back and forth? That's because I'm doing that with the chopstick. So I'm going to put the chopstick in, which is going to grab a hold of the tail, and then I'm going to turn that bird up or down to see if I could get the bird to adjust more as it ticks. So it does move a little bit more. Hopefully y'all could see that. I don't know whether you. So if your bird isn't moving that much, maybe you could do the same thing. Now I'm gonna do it again, but I'm gonna see if I can get it to move less. It's moving about the same, but the bird is tilted down, and I want it to tilt up. So I'm putting the chopstick back in and seeing if I can tilt the bird up some. It's potato, whatever you choose. Whether you want the bird sticking up in the air more or whether you want it sticking down more. I'm going to put it down just a little bit. I'm going to put it down just a little bit more. I'm fine with that. Anyway, just something I thought of. As you can see, I got these weights, these acorns and the chains hitting a block of wood. That way the pendulum doesn't interfere with them, and this clock is ready to hang on the wall. Now these are what the pendulette keys look like, except for somebody welded, or I don't know what you say, somebody sealed it up. They have a groove there, and I'm gonna cut that groove out because it's not fitting. Now, I didn't do a very good job cutting that groove out, but it is cut out. And what you do is you take a pair of pliers and you close that. And if you close it too much, guess what? You're going to have to open it up. And my son and his girlfriend's coming over, and she likes clocks. So I'm going to give her this clock, but she's got to be able to wind it up. And this thing is already wound. But anyway, this is, I was told, is a roller skate adjusting key. And I did the same thing. I put a groove in it just so I could close it up. And I've got another one. But they work for clocks, but apparently it's for roller skates. I've already had, there's some listed on Marketplace. Maybe I could close this thing up. I didn't make the groove all the way. I might have to get out my vice grips to close it up, or a hammer. So cutting 2 grooves in this roller skate key, I was able to close it up so this can be wound. For the people who might doubt, this is a Lux pendulette clock. This is the movement. This is that key. You see it rotating. It's not catching because it clicks not working, and this movement is taken apart. But you should be able to see the teeth move. And that's because this key that I just made is working. This key here that I told you is a pendulette key that I cut the groove and closed it. You can see it is rotating those teeth also. So both keys work. And I stole the pendulum bob for this clock. And I told you that the other After the Hunt clock was valuable. Well, this pendulette clock is valuable too because it's the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer clock. And this is the housing for that clock. Again, this is the housing for the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer clock. But guess what? This is the exact same housing. So I could take, because I have 3 of those clocks, well, 2 after I give this one to her, I could take the bird off of one of my clocks and put the deer on, and it's a more valuable clock. This is eBay sold listings. You have to go with sold listings. You just can't search eBay because anybody could ask whatever the heck they want for a clock. It doesn't mean they're going to get that. The Scotty dog clocks sell for quite a bit. The Scotty dog and the cat clock sold for $450. I'm trying to find. Here's the one with the deer, $164.49 plus shipping. I'm trying to find the one with same housing without the deer. Again, this the Scotty dog clock, $195. Here's one. Same housing as the deer, $34.99 versus in the deer one, $164.49. My son and his girlfriend just left, and I gave her the clock, and she loved it. She loved seeing all the clocks in my house. And I told my son he needed to put a ring on her finger right now. This is Dan and Diana's webpage. As you can see, they made different color ropes, and color of clocks. But as you can see, the pattern is the same. And these things were made in 1949 to 1956. Animated Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer pendulette clock. But the other clock, same red roof as the brown roof, same clock. The only difference is the bird versus Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. 1935 to 1956. Animated swinging bird pendulette clock. So the difference is the price. $175 to include shipping on this one, and $46 to include shipping on this one. That is the only difference. There we have it. 5 Lux style pendulette clocks hanging in my kitchen. And as you can see, this one here that doesn't have a pendulum bob on it is keeping pretty good time with the other ones. I might have to get a pendulum bob for it, but that's different. This thing was running stupid chains. And I might have to tilt it just a little bit. I need to put my beat amplifier on it to determine whether it's in beat or not. I hope y'all like this video. Please leave me some comments. And may God bless each and every one of you. The beat amplifier on it. doesn't really matter, because when you go wind the clocks, it's going to get out of a beat again. I have a finishing nail holding these clocks up, because the hole in the can is not big enough for a sheetrock screw that I normally use. And I would make that hole bigger, but I don't want to devalue the clock. This one right here, being after the hunter's pendulette clock, is worth more than all the rest of those, at least in my opinion. Decided to add this Hummel music box there also, and believe it or not, it is playing, but you might not be able to hear it. You can see the chord move though. It's just that they're not that dang loud, at least for somebody who requires hearing aids, that is. But it looks good up there. There's a couple more. Hummel novelty clock. Now it takes number 2 key. And then this clock, it's probably the smallest clock that I have as far as novelty clocks. As you can see, compared to the Lux pendulette clock, it's a lot smaller. And it didn't have a housing, and I built that really quickly. I got this clock a couple years ago. I need to get it in beat, but it's time for me to take a break. But sad thing about these clocks is they're 30-hour clocks, and so you'd have to wind them once a day. And when you do, you very well could get them out of beat. So you might have to sit there and mess with them to get them back in beat. Or you could take and mark on your walls where they currently are. That way, after you wind them, you could just tilt it to that line. That way you don't have to mess with them to get them back in beat. But anyway, I've got a few more novelty clocks that I will probably hang on this wall, just to get them someplace to hang. I hope y'all like this video. May God bless each and every one of you.